All right. No introduction necessary. We're going to be talking about the history of the CCC in Colorado. We're not going to waste time. Okay. So, CCC, also Civilian Conservation Corps. Their motto was save the soil, save the forest, save the young men. Yeah. So, gonna read this article. I'm gonna go back to that tab. We're just gonna glance over this. See, it's a pretty lengthy article. I would definitely give you the link to this. We're gonna go to some photos of it. No, we do. Okay. So, it's a picture of all the foreigners on American soil, right? Pretty much 6 projects that they accomplished on the heels of the Great Depression. The federal government under FDR hired young people to work on projects across the country. Here's what the Corps got done. I like to say corps. It's a bunch of... Never mind. When Franklin D. Roosevelt was sworn in as president in 1933, he took the helm of a United States brought to its knees by the Great Depression. With employment as high as 25%, millions were out of work, and an entire generation of young people had lost hope in their futures, many living in makeshift shanty towns and riding the rails. Shanty towns, right? Riding the rails as hobos, drifters. So it was their depression. We weren't depressed, we were doing fine. In his inaugural address, FDR latched on to an idea that was already being tested in states like California. There go that state again. This is going to be interesting. Okay, boom. California and Pennsylvania to employ young people as an environmental army of tree planters, forest firefighters, and soil conservationists. Our greatest primary task is to put people to work. Of course, said FDR. This is no unsolvable problem if we face it wisely and courageously. It can be accomplished in part by direct recruiting by the government itself, treating the task as we would treat the emergency of a war, but at the same time, through this employment, accomplishing greatly needed projects. They didn't like how we were living. No, we can't live better than them. Of course, to stimulate and reorganize the use of our natural resources, they're theirs, huh? But when they were exiled, they were nobodies. Now they got resources everywhere, huh? You notice a couple faces are missing from this picture. I mean, him over here, he's one of them. Then him over here, he might be one of them. Or they might have became overall exiled, Might have been a couple of brothers in there. But this is President Mr. FDR, he's not president, visiting a CCC camp in Virginia on August 12, 1933. Okay. So on March 31st, 1933, FDR signed the Federal Unemployment Relief Act, which recruited healthy, unmarried young men to join what would become known as the Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC. The men, mostly uneducated and untrained, were paid $30 a month, $25 of which was sent directly to their families. They lived in racially segregated camps that operated under military-style rules. But they had money in their pockets and food in their bellies. Because when they were over there, they had none of that. The struggle was real. So at its peak in 1935, the CCC enrolled 500,000 men at 2,600 camps across the country. The popular New Deal program was phased out by 1942 as the same young enrollees enlisted for World War II. Now catch that. Catch this little paragraph right here. That's important. This part of the paragraph. Well, now let's catch it all. At its peak, 1935, CCC enrolled 500,000 men, 2,600 camps across the country. The New Deal program was phased out by 1942 as the same young enrollees enlisted for World War II. How you like those apples? They were already familiar with the land, huh? They knew exactly where to go, what to do. Over its 9-year run, the CCC accomplished its dual goals of rescuing a lost generation and restoring the nation's squandered natural wealth. The following are just some of the CCC's accomplishments. The CCC planted 3.5 billion trees. The CCC created 711 state parks, like 7-Eleven. Huh, that's interesting. The CCC spent 6.5 million days fighting fires. The CCC built more than 3,000 fire lookout towers. How's our fire doing? Is it burning everything we needed to? Okay. The CCC built more than 30,000 miles of terraces. Cool. The CCC launched the American ski industry. Yeah, it's interesting. So let's go back. Let's summarize all of what they did. I just want to knock out them 6, as they're very important. When FDR was just 19 years old, he was put in charge of the Roosevelt family's aging estate in Hyde Park, New York. Faced with a serious erosion problem, young FDR decided to plant thousands of trees. Later, as governor of New York, FDR spearheaded statewide reforestation efforts and purchases of neglected farms. They weren't neglected, bro. We were there, and then you move us, to turn back into productive timberland. And this is 1935. That's when they did that. But not FDR when he was 19. It's different. Might have been a bit younger. Definitely was a bit younger. That's interesting. So, the United States used to be rich with virgin forests, but unbridled logging had reduced the nation's 800 million acres of timberland to just 100 million acres by 1933. Huh. So that's weird. If it's rich, it used to be rich. Now it's not because it's CCC. Planting trees will not only restore a vital economic resource, but it could combat the rampant soil erosion that contributed to environmental disasters like the Dust Bowl. That's very interesting. The CCC was nicknamed Roosevelt's Tree Army. Man, it's crazy. Okay, we're gonna get to these state parks. Like I said, we're just gonna skim over it, take a glance. Okay, the Department of Interior put CCC recruits to work expanding the country's national and state park systems. While a number of major national parks existed in 1933, Yellowstone and Yosemite date back to the 19th century. They date back even further than that. There were still several states without a single state park, including Virginia, West Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, and New Mexico. Seriously, because this whole side over here, all of it from here to Mexico, which is Mexico, state parks weren't like a thing for us. All the land was for us as the heirs property. Cool. So over the 9-year run of the CCC, a total of 2 million CCC workers labored to create new national and state parks and making existing ones more accessible by paving roads. So here you go. Cutting trails, building cabins, and campsites. In total, there were 194 CCC work camps and 94 national parks and 697 camps and 881 state and local parks across the U.S. of A. So basically, they're taking land and they're saying, hey, well, we did this, we built it, so now it's ours. Totally belongs to us. And we were in the introduction, we were learning about claiming, which is basically you say it's yours without proof, right? Boom. The CCC, they spent these 6.5 million days fighting fires. So, let's take a look into the gallery. Let's see what they got going on in there. So we got some recruits to set up their first reforestation work camp. Cool. Then we have Ton Camp in Wyoming's Bighorn National Forest. Yeah, not for y'all. Morning inspection at a CCC camp. Under military-style rules. Militia, men from the civilian, the CCC finished a shelter house in time for the influx of visitors. Well, of course, you got the influx of visitors, right? A crew of CCC enrollees plant 9 seeds in Georgetown, South Kakalaki. We didn't ask for an ad, did we? Oh, gosh. Raw and direct. Here we go. Okay, bro. Maybe that was an ad page. Yeah. Men from the Restoration Army, part of the CCC. CCC personnel use a hose to suppress part of a forest fire, the part they want to live in or build on. So Mr. Scheller, or the Scheller feller, instructs 12 CCC enrollees in mechanical theory. Interesting. Waiters and cooks in the mess hall of the CCC Havila Camp F101 in Sequoia National Forest in Cali. Man feeds an ice cream cone to a captive bear cub. This might be a zoo. Orchestra. Who's playing pool? Leaning out the train window. New life serving in the CCC, by the way, 1935. A group portrait of African American CCC workers at an unidentified CCC camp, POWs. 200 members of the CCC in Luray, Virginia. Reforestation, members of the 117th Company of New England. Okay, that's just a little intel. So they were basically fighting these fires, or planning them. Fighting them. Teams of permanent CCC fire planters, fighters. Patrol vast stretches of forest on foot, by truck, by airplane, and even canoe. Interesting. The total number of hours logged by CCC firefighters from 1933 to 1942 was the equivalent of 6.5 million days. Tragically, 47 CCC fighters also lost their lives in effort. Then the lookout towers. Okay, so we're gonna save this. We're gonna add this to the hijack. CCC intel, and then we're gonna read a couple pages of this document. Save the soil, save the forest, save the young men. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, the 73rd Congress, by Public Act number 5, March 1933, authorized the Emergency Conservation Work Program, ECW. The continuation of this function was provided for in the Congressional Act of June 1937, which also officially changed the name of the ECW to its more popular designation, the CCC. So they went from emergency conservation work to civilian conservation corps. CCC was one of several federal relief programs which sought to alleviate distress caused by the massive unemployment of the 1930s. The program achieved this through the establishment of camps where young men worked on forest and conservation projects throughout the county. Colorado had numerous CCC camps throughout its undeveloped and forested land. So this is the history of them in Colorado. And what we just read, the last tab, was pretty much their work overall. So why I went in that order, you'd have to talk to the ancestors. The program achieved this through the establishment of camps where young men worked on forest and conservation projects throughout the country. Colorado had numerous CCC camps throughout its undeveloped and forested land. Had to read that again. Franklin Roosevelt appointed Robert Fechner, however you say it, as the first director of the ECW program, and arranged for the Departments of War, Interior, Agriculture, and Labor to cooperate with the director in establishing and operating the proposed system of forest camps. The War Department was responsible for the building of the camps and for providing food, clothing, medical care, and transportation for the enrollees. The Interior Department provided educational programming for enrollees, supervised work done in the national parks and other federal lands, supervised work done. So he's supervising the work, making sure you're knocking down those trees. People can't breathe that oxygen. We're going to make a city for them. And not too many trees. And with the brutalistic style of architecture. Gone are the days of Romanesque architecture. For lack of a better term, Moorish architecture. For lack of a better word, Indian architecture. For lack of a better word, royal architecture. Period. So he's supervising. It's very interesting. So let's reread that. The Interior Department provided educational programming for enrollees, supervised work done in the national parks and other federal lands, and cooperated with the states on work done in the state parks. The Agriculture Department supervised work in connection with soil conservation, reclamation. Well, that's interesting. What are you reclaiming? You just got here. Wow. Wildlife protection and other conservation projects. The Labor Department was in charge of enrollee selection upon the recommendation of state relief agencies. Very, very, very interesting. So we got another picture. Lunchtime at the National Monument, Grand Junction, Colorado. Actually, that is another picture because we read the other article. Technical agencies supervised and planned the specific work projects in the camps. The U.S. Forest Service employs CCC men to protect timbered areas from fire, insects, and disease. It's disease from it, right? The Soil Conservation Service established areas of soil erosion control by employing practices such as strip cropping, artificial reseeding, contour cultivation, terracing, furrowing, corrugation. That's an interesting word. And pasture management. The stabilization of irrigation systems and the construction of gully plugs, diversion dams, and diversion ditches were also emphasized under the SCS. The U.S. Division of Grazing instituted projects which stopped injury to the public grazing lands through erosion and mismanagement. Well, that's where Mr. TDR came from. Mr. Teddy. So he came from a land of erosion. No, we came from a land of exile. And whatever we had going on, we could handle it. This work included the development FDR. Yeah, my bad. It's FDR. I said TDR. Oh my God. This work included the development and conservation of water through the construction of tanks and stock reservoirs, the digging of wells, dam construction, revegetation, eradication of poisonous weeds, rodent control, flood control, water hole development, and the building of bridges, fences, truck rails, driveways, and range corrals. I'm noticing some similarities between them and the Army Corps of Engineers. They're the same people. I mean, we can prove that with that. Construction of tanks, digging of wells, dam construction, eradication of poisonous weeds, chemicals, things of that nature. Flood control, water hole development, and the building of bridges, fences, truck trails, driveways, and range corrals. It's very interesting. So the Bureau of Reclamation supervised the rehabilitation of existing storage and irrigation systems, the development and construction of supplemental storage facilities for areas affected by drought, and the construction of recreational facilities at irrigation reservoirs. I think we'll come back to this. We'll probably revisit this, to be real, after I show you some things, because I got a lot of things I want to get through. Yeah, it's almost like the birth of a nation, huh? Just glancing and seeing if we can uncover something else. Great Depression once again. CCC projects in Colorado. Boom, here, let's do this one. Oh, they were active. Oh my gosh, they were very active out here. Let's read a couple of these. What else are we, As it did elsewhere in the United States, the CCC had a profound impact on Colorado's depressed economy. We weren't depressed out here. No, I mean, when my mother and my grandmother came here, I don't hear about depressed economy. The economy, the economic structure and fortitude came with them. We were fine. We were trading, bartering. We were building what we needed. There was no rules on it. We could water our own grass. We could do it. There was no rules. There was no laws put in place on that. So the depressed economy stuff got to go. And assisted greatly in the conservation of the state's natural resources, but he didn't conserve nothing. They were already here. How do you conserve something that's all? It is estimated that the CCC contributed over $56 million to Colorado's economy over the program's lifespan. Approximately 32,000 young men, most of them Colorado natives or longtime residents, found employment at camps throughout the state. Because you're telling these brothers, you're telling them they have to work for your dollar. They were fine, right? Colorado's first 29 CCC camps were established in the summer of 1933. 2 years later, at the height of the program, that number was 47. In all, 172 camps spread across the mountains and plains. Men performed all types of badly needed conservation work. About half of the camps were assigned to two bureaus in the Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, and Soil Conservation Service. Well, we already had all of that with the Indian, right? Those people that were working on heirs property, we already knew what we were doing. With Colorado's vast forest, the CCC provided an unprecedented opportunity to accomplish many badly needed improvements. I bet, this is about to just make me mad. I'm trying to stay calm. Next to the Department of Agriculture, the National Park Service was the greatest beneficiary of the CCC in Colorado. Enrollees achieved an impressive record of accomplishments in national parks and monuments, as well as state and municipal recreation facilities during the course of the CCC's programs. Up to 6 camps were assigned to Rocky Mountain National Park alone. Other camps were located at Mesa Verde National Park. There's a monument out there. Cliff dwellings, Indian land, the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, Great Sand Dunes National Park, Colorado National Monument, and Hvtvm National Monument. Probably the best known achievement of the CCC in Colorado was the construction of the Red Rocks Amphitheater near Morrison. That's funny you said something about Morrison. I was checking out the CCC today. I was trying to find the locations of back then, right? So I find this. Mile High Chapter 7. Morrison, Colorado. Is it time for a 21st century civilian conservation corps? Our answer has always been a resounding yes. Terrible. Terrible. Reactivating a CCC style program has long been on the agenda of alumni groups nationwide, and Denver's Chapter 7 was active in supporting and promoting the concept. It's interesting. So yeah, that's Morrison, right? Let's go ahead and add them. Places I want to visit. Yeah. Okay, let's get there. Let's close this out. That work was completed between 1936 and 1941 by CCC enrollees housed at Camp SP-13C on Bear Creek, just west of downtown Morrison. Correct. The camp still survives today and is one of the few intact examples of CCC camp in the United States. I will pull up a picture, but I have no pictures. Not needed. It's a bunch of tents on open land. It's probably a building on open land. I mean, look it up, but you know what? Screw it. Let's pull it up real fast. So we have an entranceway right here. Stop! Don't go here. Right? CCC worker. So worker. Oh, probably this guy. Millie Fiori Favoriti. Interesting. Very, very interesting, Mr. Favoriti. Very, very interesting. See what I'm saying? Like, did they knock all of us out, kept some stone, or did they try to duplicate what was already found here? They came here and they found you. They didn't find you struggling. They found green, the promised land, hey? So that's the camp, right? So you got this right here. You got, it's still standing today. So this is what you'll get. Let's blow that up. Very, very interesting. Designed by the city and county of Denver, this little plaque. Cool. Places I want to visit. The Bureau of Reclamation also received CCC assistance in Colorado between 1935 and 1942. 7 camps were assigned to Uncompahgre, Grand Valley, Pine River, Mancos irrigation projects. Wow. My thoughts on this is hijack. More none less. The CCC was incredibly effective and prolific, and Roosevelt urged its continuance as a means of accomplishing critical defense work. Big Mama know her work. She defends herself, feel me? But Congress sealed the fate of the program on June 30th, 1942, when it voted to liquidate the CCC and allocated $8 million to help cover closing costs. No, $8 million to help fund World War I against the people. See, that's why I feel like none of the way they tell you about the war story is false. They were out to get us. They were out to destroy everything we had going. All things they could never have. I mean, if you ask nicely, we'll try to tell you no nicely. But then you keep coming back and you keep coming back and we keep telling you no, you keep coming back, and then you be like, okay, cool, we're going to create this dollar. We already have a dollar. Boom. We're going to take your gold to help back our dollar. Then we're going to say, oh, bye-bye gold standard. Here goes your dollar. This is the only thing you get. The remaining 60,000 enrollees were released and all work programs discontinued. Some camps were transferred to the Army or Navy for military use, while others were used to house conscientious objectors, war prisoners. Say you weren't slaves, you was prisoners of war. Yes, sir. Or Japanese evacuees during World War II, where no future uses could be contemplated. Camp structures were demolished. On August 17, 1942, Montrose Camp BR-23 was transferred to the Army Corps of Engineers. Didn't I just say that? Didn't I just say that? See, it's nice when people tell you about these things, but it's even better when you can go look into them for yourself. All this information is out here. None of this is hidden knowledge. None of it is secret. They tell you that they basically demolished your way of life, your style. They tried to get rid of you, pretty much, for the duration of the war. Which this one? Talk about this war right here. I know you are. Enrollees were well fed and provided clothing, which was mostly surplus equipment from World War One, which they were partaking in. We read that. Thereafter, the camp buildings were leased to the Uncompahgre Valley Water Users Association. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm trying to stay calm. It's just tough. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so now we're gonna play a little video. Yeah. The Civilian Conservation Corps in Colorado.
The Great Depression, which happened in October 1929, brought the...
Let's get that whole title. The Civilian Conservation Corps in Colorado, 1933 to 1943.
The Great Depression, which happened in October 1929, brought the whole country down.
It affected, everyone. Let's put it that way.
No one could get work, and banks and other businesses failed, and America lost hope in Herbert Hoover.
The use is always fair.
They needed a new leader with new ideas. They elected Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR, a Democrat from New York.
Democrat.
His inaugural address gave hope to America.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Our greatest primary task is to put...
The greatest thing we have to fear is fear itself. Who are they fearing? What were they scared of? Isn't this all yours? Aren't you able to do such a that and such a this and such a that, such a this and all of this and all of that? No, you're not.
People to work.
His reaction to the Depression was the New Deal. The New Deal was created in his first 100 days of office in a special session of Congress.
So that's very interesting. We're going to go ahead and get out of there. We already read that. So basically, she's reading the article I just read. One of them. So yeah, let's go ahead and add this because it's well needed, right? Save. Oh, come on, save it. I got something in here. We're going to add that to 2 folders. Okay, so we're going to go back to this, what we were reading. I stopped at page 2. Well, no, I stopped on page 3. Yeah, I stopped on page 3. So basically, we're talking about the camps. The C meant that the camp was located in Colorado. So S Colorado, S Camp S Colorado, S7. Soil Conservation Service. Oh no, Soil Conservation Service 7C, Colorado. Soil Conservation Service 7C. Castle Rock, Castles on the Rock. A rock castle. Oh, I can't wait to tap into that one. Woo-wee. In Colorado, the official Colorado State Relief Committee, later known as the Colorado State Relief Administration, was the first agency at the state level to handle CCC enrollee selection. It was created on May 11, 1933 by an act of the General Assembly. It consisted of 7 persons appointed by the governor to administer emergency relief measures, including the CCC program. Very interesting. Let's zoom through this. A CCC representative or supervisor prepares CCC rules, procedures, and policies, handle correspondence, and generally supervise CCC enrollee selections. Genevieve Afalter Griffith was supervisor of CCC selection from 1936 to 42. Beneath her in the organizational hierarchy were the district supervisors who interpreted the state CCC policies and procedures to the county directors. The county directors were then responsible to the CSDPW for taking applications, certifying applicants in accordance with the rules and regulations transmitted to them by the state supervisor of CCC selection, presenting selectees to the Army authorities for enrollment, and complying with regulations and instructions issued by the CSDPW. The CCC was open to young men primarily between the ages of 17 and 23 whose families were in special need. The enrollees had to agree to allot the majority of their pay to their families. It's interesting. The usual enrollment was for a 6-month term, while the maximum term of service was 2 years. Interesting. There's some sources in here. All these links will be given. I want to share the knowledge. That will do it for this episode. This part. I don't like them.